No, not too far at all. Grew up in this area as well, so
Yeah.
yeah, it's easy.
So you grew up in Stratford,
Yep,
like me.
yep.
So what was it like growing up in Stratford when you was younger?
For me, a bit crazy.
Yeah.
A bit crazy, yeah. I don't like getting too much into
Mm.
all of it, but it was like what you hear,
Yeah.
East London, growing up around what you hear now.
Yeah.
Maybe not as bad as it is now, but yeah, that's when it first started to kind of pick up in that kind of way.
Yeah.
So,
And like, what was you like as like a student at school?
I can say in classes and stuff, I was pretty quiet. I went there, done what I had to do. I wouldn't say I'd done all the work I was meant to do, but
Yeah.
I wasn't like one of those crazy kids who was jumping on tables, making noises and all that. I was quiet in classes, but outside the classes, that's when I was a bit more popular. Then a bit more of myself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Was you a local schoolboy around like Rokeby time or was it Rokeby?
that's where I went. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I went Rokeby. When it was in Stratford, obviously it's not there no
I was
more.
just
Yeah,
about to say,
yeah,
so yeah, I
yeah.
was a Rokeby boy at Stratford.
No
It's
way.
Canning Town now.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I was there. I was in Rokeby, Stratford.
yeah,
So yeah, you know that school has mad reputation
yeah.
from. So yeah, that's how I grew
Yeah.
up in Stratford. Like with
There,
that.
there's certain times when you meet people and then they're like, oh, so what school did you go to? And you're like, Rokeby. They kind of give you that look like, oh.
Yeah. How did
Like,
you survive
yeah,
that?
it's like, oh, like really? Was it as bad as like I heard? And it's like, but sometimes when you look back on it, I got a lot of fond memories from it.
I'm glad I went there.
Yeah,
Like,
same now.
I'm glad with that, and I feel like it also helped my personality and myself.
Yeah,
It managed to bring me up in a way, and again make you a bit tougher.
mm,
Thing I like to say, it's like going to. I ain't been to prison, but it's like going to prison in school.
for real.
That's what it's like.
For real, I read some comments on like the Facebook group. Some of them are teachers on there.
Yeah,
The teachers
yeah,
they're going wild on it.
yeah.
I don't know if you've seen it.
Nah,
I'm like,
nah.
wow. But yeah, it's kind of sad because you see some of the stories that people are saying, and then you realise how hard it was
Yeah,
for certain people to get along in there. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
even times like yeah, you saw bad situations, but you know, I guess when you're getting on with your own thing, you've got your own group of friends. You don't see how bad it is for
yeah.
certain
You don't.
people.
You just get on with it, and
Yeah, but like you said, I'm
yeah,
glad I went there
yeah.
because I think it does.
Eye opener.
Yeah. Was there any? Because I know there's a few Rokeby boys in like the MMA world that have passed through there from Rokeby.
Not
When
even
you
sure.
was there none?
Nah, nah. Not that I know of. Not that I remember.
Maybe this is like maybe the Canning Town time then when it
Yeah,
was.
yeah, yeah. Probably that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No one from my area that I know of. But I don't really talk to anyone from school now. Literally
Yeah.
one person. That's about it.
Was you was you athletic at school? Was you involved in a lot of sports?
Yeah, at the time, played football all the time. Swimming,
Yeah.
swimming. And it's funny, it's stereotype, but I'm a good swimmer. Swimming. Before Rokeby times though, I did do Taekwondo growing up.
Okay.
So I feel like that's kind of how I ended up back into what I'm doing now.
Yeah. And was that local?
Yeah, I actually done it in Newham Leisure Centre.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I did that. I mean, I was young, but I remember it, and I still remember like all the kicks I did when I was younger. I've kept my flexibility from then as well, and so yeah, that's where it started.
Yeah. So that was your beginning in combat sports, and then when did you start get maybe like looking into this as like something you want to compete in or train more often away from Taekwondo?
Yeah. So like, obviously I was playing. I left rugby. I was playing football. Even got to a decent level, like conference south it was at the time, and then I realised I'm at that age, football ain't gonna happen. But the whole time I was always watching MMA, and I said, yeah, you know what, I think I can do this. I'm gonna just give it a try. Then I always just looked online to see like the closest gyms, the timetable that I could make. Then I can't remember the age I was, but I said, you know, I'm just gonna go and see what it's like. But also my uncle was down at Peacock Gym,
All right.
and he was saying, oh, I know you want to do MMA. There's a guy here, come and train with him.
Yeah.
But like obviously I went there. It was like a one-to-one session,
Okay.
but it wasn't what I wanted. I needed to go in a gym with other fighters and everything like that. So that's when I found the gym and then went down and just started training there.
Did they? Because when I was really young, like probably when I was starting secondary school, they had. I used to do Greco-Roman and freestyle
Oh yeah,
wrestling
yeah.
at Peacock Gym.
Oh,
So
swear.
they had the wrestling
Yeah.
room downstairs, like just behind where the canteen
Yeah,
was.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, you took a right, and that's where they had the
Yeah.
wrestling room.
See, that would have been good for me then.
Yeah.
I would have loved that.
Yeah, yeah. It's mad because like I never stuck to it because
Yeah.
it's one of those things that you don't really get access
Nah.
to like college wrestling,
Yeah,
Olympic
exactly.
wrestling, so I didn't really
Yeah.
see where you could
Yeah,
go.
if
with
I
it.
had that, I'd have been sick,
Yeah.
man. Yeah.
I didn't even know that
Yeah.
they kind of dabbled in.
It was just this one guy, and he said, my uncle told me he done MMA. I was like, alright, let me try it. Then I went there with my uncle, done boxing a little bit, but then my whole thing was to do MMA. And back then, I always used to hear that to do boxing, you have to start with. I always hear stories like, oh, he started at 9 years old. I was long past 9 years old. I'm like, I'm not gonna be a big time boxer if I start now. I was in my 20s.
Yeah.
So I was like, I can still do MMA. I thought MMA is a higher, people's older in MMA. So I was like, yeah, I can probably still give it a try. And then just did that.
And then like so from Peacock, then when did you start looking at or getting involved in like other local teams? Because I feel like I don't. At one point, I saw in one of your fights that. Did you dabble with Fight Zone or
I started at Fight Zone.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
So literally from when I went Peacock, I think even after the session, I had looked at all the timetables anyway, and I saw that I'm gonna go to Fight Zone. And that week, I was like, okay, cool, yeah, I'm hitting Fight Zone. So after that session, drove down to Fight Zone. Then I was there at the time. I'd done a wrestling class actually. That was with a guy called Max, and then Jose was doing the Muay Thai, and Steve O'Keefe was teaching the MMA there at the time. So yeah, then I just kind of just stayed there for a few years.
And was Stuart Alston around at that time?
So it's crazy, yeah, because Stuart became my main coach.
Yeah.
So with Steve was in and out. He was in, I think he was at Fight for Peace, and then rushing down to our gym. And then sometimes his time like got tied up.
Yeah.
So then the classes became Stuart was taking over, then Steve might pop in. So we never really had a stable coach at one stage when I started. And again, the MMA scene, MMA team in Fight Zone it was non-existent in a way.
Yeah, a couple of guys.
Yeah, it was, yeah. So in a way, I probably should have moved away, but I stuck with where I was going. I was comfortable. And what I was thinking was I can find my ways of picking, say, Jose's brain, the wrestling coach, Max's brain, Marco's brain, and then bring it all into one. That's how you make MMA anyway.
Yeah.
So that's why I was it's fine, I'll stick here. So then I think there was a fight I went to watch that I ended up fighting in.
Well, is this amateur time? Or?
Yeah, it's amateur, yeah.
Yeah, what was this?
Yeah, so it was Fusion
Right.
back in 2014. I was meant to watch one of my teammates, and then someone pulled out, and Steve said, "Do you want to fight?" And I was like, in my head, I was like, not really, I'm not ready yet, but I'm a guy, I went Rokeby. You asked me to fight, I'm going to fight.
Yeah.
So I did. So I literally just called, and Steve couldn't make it that day, so it was even crazy. So we had no coach.
Yeah, wow, okay.
So then, yeah, all these, but again, it's back in the day, like it was just a scrap them days.
West.
Yeah. So then, what happened? I must have rang Jose, then he called Stuart with him, and then Stuart came down to corner me, and the other guy was called Lewis Fawn. You probably know Lewis as well. He also dabbled with Fight for Peace.
Yeah, I recognise that.
Yeah. So then, yeah, we had our fights that day, and Stuart was like, "What's going on? I'm taking over." And then from that day, that's when Stuart took over the MMA for Fight Zone.